Okay, we continue in our Sefer B'Yam Darkecha. We're on page Samach Tes. Page Samach Tes. We're in the middle of the second chapter still, coming close to the end. Subcategory 4, Lasos Levush Ukli Laor, to make a garment and a vessel for the light. Okay, what does this mean exactly? Okay, we're talking about our thoughts and what we're supposed to be thinking about. So after we've had these thoughts, Tamid achar sha'adam zoichel hargosha shel bittul. Always after a person has merited to have some feeling of bittul. Tov lasos miyad kli ulavush laor. You should immediately make for yourself a utensil and a garment for the light, which he'll explain. Kikol or v'hargosha alok is tzarich sheyeh lo levush v'gam kli, because any light, any feel of godliness needs it to be enclosed in something. It needs to take on a tangible form. In either a garment or utensil. Now he's going to define these two terms. Levush, what do you mean a garment? In Yano, she'abor l'odam ma ha'or hazeh omer lo b'chayov. It should be clear to a person what this light says to him in his life, such as he should think and feel that the light of, let's say, the first level of accepting the yoke should say to him, and what you're doing is shani makabel alatzmi levatel ritzon ploni mipnei ritzon Hashem yisbarach. I accept upon myself to nullify the will of so-and-so before the will of Hashem. It's as if the light itself is saying it. The light inside you is saying, I'm going to nullify my will before Hashem. To feel that that is what's happening. It's not just, okay, I'm thinking about nullifying myself, but if you're really feeling something, you should say, so what is the light saying that we can't see? The light saying, because the light is the manifestation of Hashem that's directed from you, that I nullify my will or so-and-so's will before Hashem. It's not enough to be satisfied just with the light itself. That's just a feeling or a comprehension. But without the garment. The garment is, what is this understanding speaking to me? Should also make a kli, a utensil, to do an actual activity al piha or shekibel, based on the light that he's received. And the light should not remain just with the feeling, which he's going to explain what the kli is. But in other words, you're getting a certain feeling. So if you're feeling some type of bittul, so what is the or saying? What's the light saying? The light saying that Chaim Yankel is nullifying his will before Hashem. Because that's really what the light is saying. You've got to concretize it. And that's the garment. But now the utensil is, let's say you've merited to have a feeling of bittul. And you can feel this is all the light of Hashem. And a person is only a utensil to reveal it. So then be a utensil. So immediately learn Torah with increased intensity. Till now, let that light come out that he accepted. And to reveal the divinity that's inside of him. Or do mitzvahs, other mitzvahs. Or to pray with a full heart from the feeling of the utensil. In other words, act on it. If you really feel that you've reached a certain level, I really feel that I've accepted the yoke of Hashem. So you really feel to have accepted the yoke of Hashem. And you are feeling that the light is saying that so-and-so, me, has accepted the yoke of Hashem. Now do something as someone who has accepted the yoke of Hashem. And you don't do it haphazardly. Now's the time to do a mitzvah in a way that reflects that you're a kli. Do it as a kli, not as just a person who does it, which is fascinating. I'm sure we've all done a chesed yesterday. We've done a chesed. I'm sure we've helped somebody in some way at home, whatever. Your wife asked you to help clean the dishes. I don't know. Whatever it is, your husband has to help clean the dishes. So let's assume it's a chesed. So he said, I'm going to do it out of a complete sense of bittul. As accepting the yoke of Hashem, it's the Ratzon Hashem that I should do this. So now do it as it's the Ratzon Hashem. And feeling, and now I am shining the light as the kli. And you want to feel, or at least think, that I'm radiating divinity. I'm doing it in a way that I feel like I'm nothing because Hashem wants me to do this. And that kind of action will be an altogether different action than just doing it, than just doing that. All right, so that's Dalit. So after thinking, you create the levush. The levush, the garment, means what's the light saying about me, based on what I'm accepting, so to speak, and what's the action that I'm doing as such a vessel that reflects that divinity. Okay, that's Dalit. Okay, hey, next subcategory, bitol b'chol hamatzavim, to nullify yourself under all circumstances. Chelik mucharach ba'alicha b'darkecha bitol hu shetiya la'adam mesinus b'chol yonei avodas Hashem yisbarach. A very important part of the pathway of bitol is that a person should be very deliberate and patient in all aspects of service of Hashem. And not to grab everything at one time. Oh, this is such an important thing. The person says, whoa, this is a great thing. Let me do it fast. Let me get on with it. Let me really motor through it. No, take it slow. Why? If a person does not have patience and deliberation in his service, it's a sign that he thinks that he's the one who's making it happen. Yeah. I got to do it fast. Why? Because the faster I do it, the faster it gets done. Wait a minute. Are you doing this or is Hashem doing this? And what often happens, you do things fast, you're not even thinking what you're doing. We're not saying to be lazy, chas v'shalom. We're not saying, okay, if Hashem's doing it all, I'm staying in bed and I'll get around to it. No, we're not saying that at all. But to do it with deliberation. It doesn't mean that it can't be done quickly either, but your mind is at ease. You could do something fast and still deliberately. Don't enter any aspect with force. You should always be clinging to prayer at all times. Even though you have to really get all your strength together. But that's only with the prior knowledge that it is all a kindness of Hashem to him. Let's look at Tzadi Ches footnote at the bottom. You have to strengthen and deepen this feeling that you depend totally on Hashem, your Father in heaven. And you keep going back to Hashem. Keep thinking when you're doing it, keep thinking, okay, Hashem, I need your help more. I need your help more. I need your help more. And when you keep saying, Hashem, I need your help more, then you will be able to receive the power of deliberation. There'll be no difference for him. It doesn't matter to him if he finishes the job completely or not. Meaning, of course, he's trying to get the job done. But if it doesn't get done, it's not a tragedy because Hashem must have not wanted it to get done. A lot of times we're in a rush. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Okay, again, I don't want to confuse you. There is an idea of zrizim makdimim lemitzvos. And Mr. Shalom talks a lot about this, that people should be alacritus to do mitzvahs. And there's two stages, he says. There's the first stage to start it. A lot of people don't even start. They wait, I can't. There's a line in the road. This is not a good time. No. And then when you start, sometimes you stop in the middle. No, you keep doing. Once you know what the Ratzon Hashem is, start doing it. And don't stop. But do it with deliberation. Make sure that when you're doing it as the Kli. You're doing it in a way that will give off that light. You're doing it in a way that shows that you're nullifying yourself to Hashem, and that's the only way you're doing that. Now, that's going to take a little bit of thought. You got to be thinking that I'm doing it as a vessel. Does a vessel Hashem do it this way or do it that way? Somebody insults me in the middle of me trying to do this. Does the vessel Hashem respond to the insult or not respond to the insult? Just, the idea of Behola means you're doing without thinking at all. But you can do quickly while you're thinking quickly at all, as the same thing. And that's the point. It's not that you're going to finish it. It doesn't matter. If Hashem is really the entire force, you're doing what you have to do. And you don't have to rush. It'll get done. It'll get done. Ubechlal, and included in this is shebachol matzav avoda, any situation in service Hashem, beinim hitzlich avodaso, whether your service was successful, benilav or not, yargish sameach. You should feel happy, no matter what the situation is, which we'll talk about more tonight at the 8:00 class, the Shovavim class. We're going to give 5 ideas of how to succeed in this area of Kedusha. And a very important one is happiness. The Yomer, and you have to always say, Ani eini elo eved neman lefanav. I am only a trusted servant before Hashem. The hatov beinov yaseh, and what's good in his eyes, he will do. That's all. And if I don't succeed, if I wasn't able to work, I'm happy. This is like really interesting, like with this COVID-19, every shul is trying to find a way to do it and to comply, but everything, it's not just shuls, it's everybody. People are telling me all the time, everybody's like kind of, bending it a little bit. Everybody, I just saw the newspaper, they closed the barber shops, right? But you're allowed to do, what do you call it for the movies? What's it called? Like shoots, for, what is that called? Cinema, whatever. You know what it means? Movie shoots. You can do movie shoots. That's an essential service. Okay. So you know what this barber did? This lady, I don't know, somewhere in Toronto. What does she do? She now bought very expensive cameras, very expensive lights, and says she's now doing auditions for the barbershop episode. And people have to sign a whole thing that says, this is an agreement, you're not going to complain if we use your movie, this and that. It's like a screen test. That's the lashon I was looking for, a screen test. So they're saying, wait, it's not a barbershop. Well, I've changed. I've written, and you look, it says, keep the door closed, middle of a screen test. She asks some questions. She's observing. And one of the scenes is a barbershop scene. Can you be a good participant in the barber? It's a fascinating concept. Now, of course, we know that's against the spirit of the law. But again, the law says movies are okay. So I'm making a movie. Who said it has to be a multi-million-dollar movie? Is she wrong? That's not my business. Everybody's finding a way. There are people, massage therapists, right? They're allowed to go, yeah? Now, are you allowed to go and where there's, are you allowed to go in a hot tub, public area hot tub? No. But if you go to certain places, so the massage therapy says, after the massage, it's very important for you to have a hot tub. So you go into a hot tub.
They only charge for the hot tub.
Whatever. I'm just saying, so everybody's doing this. So now we put up all these barriers. Does the law agree to it or not? All I know is I'm fulfilling what it says. Now, if they're going to come in one day, I can say, we don't accept it. Okay, I'll have to change it. I'll have to take it down. It's what do you? I make sure there's 10 here, there's 10 there. People going through separate entrances. You don't go from one end to the other. Where am I violating the law? Now, they may come in and say, you know what? I'm sorry, we don't accept this. You're going to have to close down. We're going to fine you. Now, here's the point. What will be my reaction? Will I be happy or not? Right? At the end of the day, is it my job that everybody should daven in a minyan? I should try. But at the end of the day, what's the Ratzon Hashem? If Hashem says, you know what? I know, Yossi, you tried very hard and you really get an A for effort. But my Ratzon is, right now, I didn't want everybody to daven. We're going to come to, coming to Megillah in a month. Don't you want to hear the Megillah? How are we going to do this? We're going to have to come up with some clever ways of following the law in the way we understand the law without violating the law. That's why Jews have always had to do things like that. So, okay, so you're going to try it. And then what if they say you're not allowed to do it? Then you have to begin to say, okay, Hashem, I'm okay. Oh, because if you think, wow, I had such a great idea. That was such a chap. I was so smart. How could they turn away my smartness? Whoa, now it's your business. You can do nothing. Hashem gives you the idea to get these things up. Hashem tells you that somebody's doing this, so maybe you could try it. Gesundter, hey, be besimcha that you have a way to have more people daven. But what if it doesn't succeed? Well, it's all up to Hashem. Hashem gives you what you want, and you will be besimcha whether you succeed or not. I'm only a servant of Hashem. I have to go to sleep and they say, Hashem, I tried to get the most Jews to serve you. You didn't want it? Go talk to yourself, Hashem. Don't complain to me. I tried my best. That's if you don't succeed. And what if Hashem helps you be successful? You know, Taka, we're able to do it. We're able to pull off. We got so many people, and it was legal. Unless nobody said it wasn't. So you have to nullify yourself even more. You have to know the success all came from Hashem. Hashem gives the person everything. And when it gets hard for a person, you got to go deeper and look more and reveal more. Od va'od as amkus behirus amitas b'tzius baruch, to go deeper and deeper to get the true clarity of the reality of Hashem. Va'adrabah, and the opposite. Mitoch hakosh yasma, the fact that you find it very hard, yegala es gedulas Hashem yisbarach, you will reveal even greater greatness of Hashem. That Hashem gives life and success to everybody else. In other words, if you take on a task, a spiritual task, whatever, and it's really hard. So now, wait a minute. If Hashem is doing it, why is it so hard? It's all Hashem. So so this is very tricky. You got to be careful. You can't just use Hashem as your crutch. You know, it says, oh, this is really hard. You know, I'm sorry. I can't do it. I don't have the strength. Hashem, you don't want me to do that. No. If you have strength to do this, you do it. But I don't understand. Hashem's doing it all. What do I need the strength for? The answer is because Hashem wants you to reveal more of his grace. As hard as it was, as almost humanly not possible, Hashem gives you superhuman strength. And that reveals Hashem's ability to give us superhuman strength. And that's what, let's say, splitting the Yam Suf was all about. Was it easy for Nachman to walk in? To walk in? I guess, you know what? Sometimes I think it's not a good idea. I think I'm going back. No, you could still go a little more. What should I do more? Over the nose. Okay, go over the nose, you know. But at that point, when he says, Hashem, I can't, now you can't do it. No one's going to argue. You can't do it anymore. Now, either Hashem's going to split it or not. If he doesn't split it, okay, he didn't split it. Let's turn back. If he does split it, wow, look not how amazing I was, how amazing Hashem was, that even when it's so impossible, it got done. So it's always tricky. At the end of it, it's very hard for us because our nature is we like to get a little credit. You like to get a little credit. I said, no, you get no credit for any of this. The truth is, every situation in life, every event is a test. Will he nullify himself before Hashem at all times? This is the main test on every level of worship of Hashem. Are you able to keep on saying that it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Okay, moving on to page Ayin. Moving this over a little bit. Okay, let's say you, on one level, you're a Mavatal. You're Mavatal Hashem. Okay, so Bon is saying Yossi, then you get a little bigger test. To nullify yourself a little higher. This is how it is in all aspects of life, in spirituality and physicality. You know, when you finally, whatever, you have to deal with a person that's hard to deal with. So you say, you know what? Hashem sent this person into my life. I have to be mavatal myself. I have to give in. I have to not take it personally. Hashem has sent this person that irritates me. And it could even be that it's the other person's fault. But for whatever reasons, I have to live with this person and I have to take it. And I have to be mavatal myself. Okay, so what happens? You really worked on yourself. And Baruch Hashem, you're mavatal yourself. This is the will of Hashem. I'm not upset at the guy at all. Everything's fine. And just when you got used to the guy's irritation, he invited 3 of his friends to join him, who are even more irritant than him. You got to start all over. And that's the way life is. Do you think now that you've gotten to this point, you know, you take a rest? If you want to take a rest, Hashem says, okay, we're ready to check you out of this hotel. Ready to send you up to Shemayim because you don't think you got any more work to do. No. You have to keep going. Never a day's rest. This is everything what a human being's all about. How much do you recognize Hashem is everything? Even a person has to work and strengthen himself and put effort in. The more effort you put in, the more work you put in, the more you got to remember that it's nothing. And there's nothing but Hashem. And that gets harder. The more you do, the harder it is to feel that you're nothing. And this is such a, what do you call it? An oxymoron of a paradox of life. Hashem gives you tests that require more effort. And it gets harder and harder and harder. And you feel you're extending this effort. And you're seeing some success. And Hashem says, that's great. So it's more kavod shemaim. Less, you still get nothing. The more you do, the more Hashem is recognized. You're always at 0. This is so against human nature. This is so against it. But you really are l'shem shemayim. You are l'shem shemayim. Okay, that's the only way. Okay, Vav, lisbat. Next subsection 6. Lisbat b'fnei Rabbi b'fnei kol Yehudi. You should nullify yourself before your Rebbe and before every Jew. Od kli yisodi, another fundamental tool. This goes to merit bittul, to coronate your friend over you. Treat everybody you meet as the king over you. Talmud Chacham Shlomo, that's the Torah, and the Talmud Chacham that's learning Torah by you. Tzadikim, and the Tzadikim. Keep a koch said with that power, Yiska Levat Lo Midas Hashem. So then you can nullify yourself before Hashem. If you can't nullify yourself before people, how are you going to nullify yourself before Hashem? Right? And these people know more than you too. But if you're not going to nullify yourself before them, to say in a certain way they're greater than me, and I have to realize that they are the focal point, well, then you'll be able to understand that better with Hashem. And a person who really nullifies himself before Hashem, Zanikar, you could tell. You could see that he nullifies himself before other people. If he nullifies himself before Hashem, he knows he's nothing. So then what are other people doing that he can't nullify before them?
You met anybody like this?
There are tzaddikim like that.
Who? Where are these people?
There are tzaddikim. There are tzaddikim like that. You have to go visit some tzaddikim. There are people like that really just nullify themselves before every other Jew. Okay, you have to hang around the right people. That's why the Hasidim would go to a Rebbe. They went to the Rebbe a few times to see such a person like that. It is definitely with everyone's capability if they'd work at it. If they work at it, you could achieve it. If they call Yehudi, and someone who can't nullify himself before every Jew, says Simon Shein Lo Bittul Lifnei Hashem Yisbarach. That means dead on. He doesn't nullify himself before Hashem. That's it. And therefore, look at Sadi Test, the footnote at the bottom. Therefore, the one who organizes all events, meaning aka Hashem, that he causes for each and every Jew, you're always going to find people who are holier and bigger than you. People higher and lower than you. Hashem always makes, there are people, there's people who are on a lower spiritual level than you. There's people on a higher spiritual level than you. Okay, so now that's Hashem always makes it. If you could nullify yourself before someone who's bigger than you, you've already reached a certain level of bittul. All the more so if you nullify yourself with somebody you think is equal to you. And certainly you'll be able to then nullify yourself before certainly it's a great sign when you nullify yourself before someone who you know is less than you. That's a sign you get a complete acquisition in bittul, that you act humbly before other people. And you don't think, I'm much smarter than that guy, and you're going to talk that way. No, you have to have a tremendous humility before them. Seventh and final part of this second parak is called Hakoshi Sheyesh B'tchilas Kinyan HaBittul. The difficulty that happens at the beginning of acquiring this bittul. Nun beis, postscript. At the beginning of this project, it is so impossible, so hard. Why? The simple reason is because he's arrogant. Who isn't arrogant? I don't want to erase my reality. I'm Mr. Somebody. Why should I erase myself? Because a person foolishly thinks, if I nullify yourself, I've lost my independence. But the truth is, and this was last night's Parsha class, Shadra of the opposite, Yesh habitul Hashem Yisparach, when there's a bitul to Hashem, Shu Mekor v'Sherish Nishmaso, that's the root source of his soul, and Yiteno Metzios Amitis, it gives him a true reality. The true reality is to be the vessel. That's the true reality. That's the only reality. Any other reality you think you have is foolishness. It's a mirage. If you totally nullify yourself to Hashem, then you've got that true reality. And you know what that's called? There's a word for that. It's called cherus. It's called freedom. When the Jews were told to go back, when they went 3 days out of Egypt, they went back, and to make it look like they got lost, which really was not a smart idea from a nature point of view, because that's like committing suicide. You're backtracking to invite power to come after you. The place was called Pi HaChiros, which literally means the mouth of freedom. If you'd ask me, when were they free? You'd say after the Egyptians drowned down the sea. But no, they're called free when they backtracked. Why? Because they went against their nature. When you don't go against your nature, you're a slave to your nature. You're the biggest slave in the world. If you can go against your nature, then you're free, because now you're hooked into God. When God says, go backtrack, and they said, that doesn't make any sense. By nature, that's the stupidest idea I just heard in my life. As it was, because Pharaoh did attack them, and he surrounded them, and had Hashem not pulled a good rabbit out of the hat and split the sea, they would have been dead. So when were they called free? When they went against their nature. When they said, this doesn't make sense to me, but Hashem knows what he's doing. I'll be mavatal myself to Hashem. And then they're called free. Because now you're free from all the slavery of nature. And Hashem is not your bad master. He wants you to know who you truly are. So that's the true reality you have. So you got to get over that gaiva that you know better. I know better. If you know better, you're a slave. You're a slave to what you think is reality. And therefore, you're never going to make it. And that's why it's hard for us to start Beetle, because we don't want to give this up. What's the good advice when you start? Reflect on how low a creature is. Think of 3 things you'll never fall into the grips of sin. Where'd you come from? A putrid drop. Where are you going? Lunch for the worms. That's what you are, mister. When you realize how weak you are, and you have very little command of anything. On the other hand, now think about how great Hashem is. Now think and put it all together. If I really think I'm an independent being, I say, so what's a low being? What's a low being? If I think I'm so amazing, what's a low being? And even if you nullify yourself to be incorporated in God's greatness, you will reveal your true aspect. Hanashama Torah, the holy soul. Divine soul. You have the ask, a servant of a king is a king. In other words, if you have your own independence, so what are you? Okay, you're an independent putrid drop. That's what you are. That's where you came from. You're an independent lunch for the worms. That's who you are, period. That's where you started. That's where you end. If you nullify yourself before Hashem, now the servant of the king is the king. Okay, that's going to be the difference. So that's what we have to start thinking to get past that arrogance. At the end of the day, it's a good thing to look at old people, old decrepit people who can't walk around, because that's going to be you. Unless you get hit by a car, and that's even more decrepit. And that should tell you, but that shouldn't be you. No, when you're 85, you're not old and decrepit, even though outwardly you may look that way. But you got a neshama, you're still a kli of Hashem. And that gives you the greatest self-esteem. Okay, we've got to stop it here. Basically finish this, and we're going to start chapter 3, Amir Hashem, tomorrow.